A strange woman was standing in my newly renovated kitchen, holding a newborn baby, looking at my husband and asking, "Babe, who is this?" I inherited a house from my grandfather about 6 months ago. It's a beautiful mid-century home in a lovely quiet suburb. My husband Greg and I had been married for 4 years, and we were living in a cramped city flat. We talked about moving into my grandfather's house, but Greg insisted it was too far from his office. He works in corporate finance and said the commute would kill him. We eventually decided to renovate the property and rent it out until we were ready to settle down and start a family of our own. Greg practically begged to manage the renovations. He said dealing with contractors is a complete nightmare and wanted to spare me the stress, especially since I work 60-hour weeks as an A&E nurse. I thought he was being incredibly supportive. He started spending every single weekend at the house. He would leave early Saturday morning in his truck and come back late Sunday night, smelling of sweat and sawdust. He constantly showed me pictures of ripped-up floorboards and paint samples on his phone. Then, the money started disappearing from our accounts. We had a joint savings account with about £40,000 in it. It was meant to be our emergency fund, but we agreed to use half of it for the house updates. 2 months into the project, I checked the balance because I needed to pay our annual car insurance. I saw there was only £3,000 left. I completely panicked. I rang Greg immediately while he was at work, thinking someone had stolen our identity. He was completely calm on the phone. He said the plumbing in the master bathroom was beyond repair and he had to hire emergency specialists to tear out the foundation. He told me he'd explained all of this to me the week before, when I was half asleep after a night shift, and that I must have forgotten. I started to feel like I was going mad. I genuinely didn't remember that conversation, but my brain is always fried after work, so I convinced myself it was my fault. Still, £37,000 in 2 months seemed absolutely insane. Things started getting stranger. Greg became very protective of his phone. He used to leave it on the kitchen counter all night, but suddenly it was always in his pocket. Even when he went to the loo, he took it with him. I once caught him texting at 2 o'clock in the morning when I got up for a drink. When I asked who he was talking to, he said it was the Tyler who worked odd hours. A Tyler texting at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday? I began looking more closely at the bank statements. There were large withdrawals to a company called LG Consulting. Greg said that was the main contractor. But then I noticed smaller charges. £1,000 at a luxury baby boutique, £2,000 at a high-end furniture shop. When I questioned him, he didn't even flinch. He said the house needed to be staged to attract high-end tenants, and the staging company had bought accessories. Last Friday, my hospital shift was canceled at the last minute. The power went out in our wing, and they sent all non-essential staff home. Greg thought I was working a double shift until midnight. It was a beautiful sunny afternoon, and I thought I'd drive up to the house and surprise him. I wanted to see the famously expensive plumbing and maybe help him paint the guest room. I stopped at a local bakery and bought his favorite sandwiches and 2 coffees. The drive took an hour. When I pulled onto my grandfather's street, my heart gave a strange, heavy flutter. There was a pink baby pram sitting right on the front porch. The lawn was perfectly manicured, and there were fresh flowers in the window boxes. There was no skip in the drive, no contractor vans, just Greg's truck and a white SUV I didn't recognize. I walked slowly up the drive, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. The front door was unlocked. I didn't knock because it was